Is the glorified hustle culture actually helping you get ahead or just using you so that others get ahead? What's the real cost of constantly proving your self-worth through work? Are you stuck in a salary or a title trap that instead of improving your life is keeping you captive? Welcome to Defy and Hustle Radio with Noreen E. I'm Noreen Ehrlich, and today I'm talking to you, the employee, the executive, the worker of any kind at any level of your organization around the globe. Let's jump into it. If you found yourself feeling this way about your career, you're not alone. Entire workforces are finding themselves quietly trapped in a system that demands overwork and punishes rest. Industries worldwide are grappling with an overwork culture that is making us sick. The consequences are far-reaching, from employees experiencing burnout, anxiety, and depression, to employers facing high turnover and reputational risks. The pressure to perform at unsustainable levels is a global, systemic crisis with mental, emotional, financial, and at times fatal outcomes. Let's go to a place I truly love. For over 2 years, I worked in Tokyo, where I was the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of an investment fund. Different cultures have different names for it. In Japan, it's called karoshi, which means death by overwork. The Japanese work 14-hour days and typically go out together after work to relax, eat, and drink together. Men have their identities so enmeshed in their careers, in their companies, and in their offices, and are shamed into silence about the impact it's having on them. In my role as CFO, I researched what life insurance policies to offer to our staff, and the representatives explained to me that the policies would not pay out for 2 years. What that means is that the employee, typically a male, cannot commit suicide sooner than 2 years after the policy begins, or it won't pay out to their family. I did some research to see if this was still happening today, and according to a January 2025 article in the South China Morning Post, 2,900 workers commit suicide in 2023 because of problems related to their work situation. That number was up from 1,900 in 2022, or an increase of over 50%. It's just not acceptable. But let's look at another brutal work culture. China's 996 culture, working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, has also claimed lives. The 72-hour work week is propagated as a driver of success. And though it's illegal, labor laws are not typically enforced. Companies like the telecom firm Huawei and ByteDance, the firm that owns TikTok, enforce the 996 work expectation, making people sick. But let's not think it's limited to Asia. Toxic productivity is a hallmark of industries across the globe. Finance, tech, healthcare, gaming, you name it. It's pervasive across sectors that demand high performance, rapid output, and intense competition. And in many cases, it's not just expected, it's glorified as a mark of success. Let's do a quick industry breakdown. Tech, engineering, and startups. The move fast and break things mantra pushes employees to work long hours, innovate endlessly, and sacrifice rest. Startups in particular wear the hustle culture badge proudly, celebrating sleepless nights and around-the-clock availability as a necessity. Now over to my industry, finance. Lawyers, consulting, investment bankers, private equity professionals, lawyers, and management consultants regularly log in 60 to 80-hour plus work weeks. Success is equated with hitting numbers, reinforcing a mindset that overwork equals dedication. Over to healthcare. Doctors, nurses, and other medical staff endure long shifts with high-pressure environments. The demand to save lives in these environments leave them feeling guilty for taking breaks, often leading to burnout. In academia, professors and researchers face an unrelenting cycle of overwork. The publish or perish culture, as it's known, forces them to prioritize grading, lesson planning, and research, often without recognition. Even creative industries like advertising, film, and gaming are notorious for crunch time, where intense overwork is required to meet tight deadlines. You have to keep creatives constantly producing to stay relevant. Even in retail and service industries, employees are pressured to work overtime, meet sales quotas, and take extra shifts, sacrificing personal time and their own well-being. So what do all these cases have in common? Overwork is not just normalized, it's glorified. Excessive hours, lack of support, and the belief that this is just how it is creates an environment where burnout and tragedy are inevitable. So what keeps the cycle of toxic productivity going? Well, the roots run deep. Workers, us, we experience economic pressures, power imbalances, and cultural stigmas around showing any type of vulnerability. Employers often blame employees for not being able to keep up, and this fear of retaliation silences dissent, fueling a toxic and cruel work environment. Let's look at 4 ways we get caught in toxic productivity cycles. Number 1, and I have to laugh at this guy, but number 1 is leadership expectations. Leadership expectations play a significant role. Managers and executives who model and expect overwork create a toxic environment where work-life balance is seen as a luxury rather than a necessity. Number 2, performance metrics. This is definitely my world. Performance metrics that focus solely on quantitative results exacerbate the toxic productivity issue. Whether it's sales numbers, project deadlines, or other measurable outcomes, industries incentivize employees to sacrifice balance to achieve success. Number 3, blockages. Blockages like the salary trap. Getting paid well, but with extreme personal drawbacks, keep people locked in unhappy jobs. And then there's the fear of replacement trap. This also drives the TP cycle. In competitive job markets, workers may feel the need to consistently overperform in order to avoid being replaced or overlooked for promotions. Lastly, number 4, we have globalization. Globalization has further blurred the lines between work and personal life. Employees are expected to be available across time zones, perpetuating a 24/7 work culture that leaves little room for rest. This crisis doesn't just harm individuals, of course. It also creates ripple effects for the companies with high turnover rates, reputational damage, and reduced productivity from employees who are mentally and emotionally depleted. So why don't the companies change? Well, while companies have faced criticism for fostering toxic productivity, sustained accountability remains a challenge. There's economic pressures on companies, let's face it. Because we live in a highly competitive marketplace, companies prioritize short-term profits over the long-term well-being of their workforce. In my industry, they called it the churn and burn. And of course, there's also the power imbalances. Military-like business hierarchies perpetuate workplaces where employees fear retaliation for speaking out, limiting their ability to push for any meaningful change within their organizations. And then there's the short-term public memory. Outrage fades over time, very quickly nowadays, allowing industries to revert right back to the harmful practices once the immediate backlash subsides. My friends, the old ways don't work, and they won't work going forward. It is top management's job to ensure a workplace that perpetuates healthy, passionate adult behavior, not unconscious, unchecked toxicity. You deserve to thrive in a conscious workplace based on truth, trust, and passion. You're not there to be exploited. Until we demand change, shareholder profits will always outweigh humane treatment. So what's the secret to taking your power back starting today? You must make a decision. Not a wish, not a vague idea, a real decision. One that excites you and scares you a little. One that defies your fear and pushes you towards something better. Ask yourself, is that decision having a difficult conversation with someone? Is that starting to speak up at meetings so that you're not overlooked? Is it clarifying what you truly want from your career and investigating how you might achieve that? You do know what that decision is. Underneath the not knowing is the knowing. Trust what comes to your mind first. Taking your power back is about taking control of your mindset, aiming for your greatness and unleashing your confidence. You must hold yourself sacred in this life. You must learn to speak your truth, because when you respect yourself, others will too. I want to welcome you to Defy and Hustle Radio with Noreen E. I'm here to help you defy fear, hustle until it happens, and create the career you deserve. I worked as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and a certified public accountant in global finance. I know the struggle between corporate pressure and self-respect. But I also know change is not only possible, it's inevitable if you make a decision and then put it into action. Baby steps. And Defy and Hustle is here to show you how. I'm Noreen Ehrlich, and this is just the beginning.